So we've been hearing a lot, especially in the comments, about all the BYD graveyards and tens of thousands, nay, hundreds of billions of cars rotting in the sun. But I've always urged skepticism, and it turns out it was right to do that. And we're going to go into it a little bit today with our good friend Randy Kirk. I'm Brian. Welcome to My Tesla Weekend.
Did you have me on because I'm the friend you have who's closest to the graveyard? Is that what it is?
Yes, that's correct. That's correct. I'm so sorry. We have fun. So I've done a number of these videos, Randy, where I talk about different car companies, where I gave high marks to BYD in my Is Doomed series. Are they doomed? BYD doesn't look like they're doomed.
No, I wouldn't think so. No, I'm putting them as probably going to be number two for a very, very long time, maybe even number two overall, taking out people like Toyota and Volkswagen and maybe not Hyundai Kia. I think
maybe
Hyundai
not.
Kia might hang in there, and they might end up being number two with BYD number three. Not sure.
Well, Honda is definitely pointed in the wrong direction. I could see BYD surpassing Honda relatively soon. But I would get these comments, guys, Brian, you don't understand. BYD isn't actually selling cars. They just build them, license them through some little tax scam, and then dump them in a parking lot. That, to me, doesn't pass the sniff test. And no, look, there's this video. There's this viral video. So the problem with a viral video is sensational nonsense is very easy to share and like and spread, where a nuanced discussion, breaking it down, doesn't perform quite as well. And I said, well, these videos are inconclusive at best, but more likely, considering the source, just sensational garbage. And they go, no, but there's tons of these reports. Right, but they're all based on the same one report. So Inside China Auto went out to the actual location to get to the bottom of it. And would you believe, Randy, it was nonsense.
I would believe that.
You would believe it.
It's the internet. What are we talking about here? There's nonsense on CNBC and NBC and ABC.
Yeah. There's
insider news, inside business.
and then, look at how much worse it is when you get into outlets that are like the ones in question here. So some matters of fact, this lot with 10,000 cars. First of all, you may have seen 10,000 cars before, but it's also possible you haven't, because 10,000 is a lot of cars, far more than would fit in this particular frame. There are a few thousand cars. None of them are BYDs. And when they went out to look, he found that they're not even all electric. The overwhelming majority of cars in this lot are gas cars. And early reports pushing back said, no, these are from a ride share company that failed. So the host goes on to explain why they would fail. There's nowhere to park these cars. You can pick them up and drop them off anywhere. All of a sudden, you've got a concentration of them in places people don't want to pick them up. You have to get drivers to move them back. It's a lot of moving pieces to make it actually work. And the rideshare, let's check the registration on them. A lot of these cars are from 2019. A lot of them were only $5,000 cars.
Oh, yeah.
So, and you look inside and they're used. These are well-worn cars. They've got replacement floor mats that are not just aftermarket, but like carpet scraps. You've got bottles of water left in them, and he said packs of cigarettes or whatever. They've got replacement car seat covers. These cars have been used. And in the case of at least one of them, the company went out of business. So are these cars abandoned for good? Or are they just tied up in litigation while bankruptcy proceedings are underway?
Yeah, and I certainly understand this rideshare issue because, and so, in the United States, the bicycle ride share thing has been working out pretty well, and the scooters. I mean, people hate them, or they love them, but a lot of people hate them. But at least they don't do what they do in places like China with the same bicycles and scooters. Sometimes they don't want to take them back to where they belong. It might remind you of a Costco parking lot with the carts. They don't want to take them where they belong. So what do? They just heave them into a lot, or throw them into a lake or whatever else. And so then now they have thousands, literally, they really do have thousands or tens of thousands of bicycles in China that are now littering the side. So a few thousand cars in exactly the same circumstances, not shocking. But 10,000 cars or 100,000 cars would have been shocking.
And especially when you consider the size of the Chinese market is millions of cars.
Yes.
So now, the first part of the sniff test to me, when determining if this is going to be a bogus story, was, so Randy, I need you to help me with a crime. I'm committing a crime. My crime is I need to pretend I made vehicles, pretend I sold vehicles, but I didn't actually sell them. I just need to get rid of them. How should I get rid of them?
Yeah, what would be the best way? Goodness gracious me. You could call Elon and ask, when is Starship going to be going up?
But what would be a real answer? How would you actually hide these cars?
I guess you'd want to hide them someplace not in plain sight. I mean, you'd want.
Okay, so right there, they're in plain sight. Wouldn't you just put them straight in the chipper?
That would be one possibility, right? Yeah.
Because then you can reuse the materials.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wouldn't you at least break them down, take out the good stuff, and crush the rest?
Exactly. Yes.
But you just leave them parked? Wouldn't you sell them for parts?
Yeah.
None of it made sense. And again, the notion that they would... So if you want to engage in those kinds of shenanigans with your company, you can do that for a limited amount of time. You can get away with it for a couple quarters, maybe even a couple years, but eventually the house of cards comes crumbling down. There was that portable solar-powered generator company. Did you hear about them?
No.
They made, what a portable generator looks like.
Yeah.
It's that, but it's got some batteries in it and a solar panel. Yeah. And they made all these amazing deals. But the problem was the tax credit that you would get for putting one in service was more than it cost to fake a sale.
I see.
So they just started faking sales.
Yes.
And that works as long as you can continue faking sales. But at some point, the numbers don't match and the whole thing comes crumbling down. Yeah. BYD moves a whole lot of units and has for a number of years. The house of cards would already have collapsed.
Yeah. And again, BYD, it's not like BYD is a startup either. They've been making ICE cars and hybrids. I forget how many years, but it's not like I think more than a decade. They've got factories all over the world.
Right. Yeah. And they make the LA city buses.
Oh, they do?
Oh, yeah. At a factory in LA.
Interesting.
Even.
I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's BYD buses in Wenatchee, Washington, I've been told.
Wow.
They're apparently fine. They're good buses, I guess.
Yeah.
It's not rocket science.
And they might have made the battery in your iPhone.
Who knows? They are a very big battery company. They're vertically integrated. They make their own chip. They design their own chips. They don't make them.
Yeah.
They make their own batteries. They have a lot of competencies. And the big thing, another pushback I got was, well, if China's coming, how come I never see their cars?
I don't know. Might have something to do with the import duties in the United States.
28%. Yeah. And guess what? Even with that, you've still seen their cars, Randy. Polestar's made in China.
Right.
Because they're willing to eat that 28% loss just to establish the market here to determine if they're going to put a factory in Mexico or Detroit or wherever.
Right. Yes.
South Carolina? I don't know. Oh.
Well, what are you going to do? The internet had misinformation.
I do want to say a huge thanks to Inside China Auto for putting that video up. There will be a link in the description. Watch it because it's good, and he deserves the love for doing the honest thing, even though when I saw it yesterday, it was at like 68,000 views. The Lie, meanwhile, has had millions and millions of views. It'd be great if The Truth could have some kind of a level footing as The Lies, but until it can, that gives savvy investors better information on which to base their strategy.
And always, savvy investors should always remember the concept that when you have a very, very odd result, you want to take a deeper dive before you trust it.
Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence.
Oh, that's the saying.
That's the saying. Yeah. I periodically encounter those people on Twitter where they'll say, "Oh, but why should I believe who you are?" It's like, well, because I'm very easy to find and fact check. You're a no-name account with 134 followers. You don't exist. So, very fun stuff.
It is.
It is. So in the comments, let us know, what do we miss? What do we misunderstand? What's going on with China? Really, for realsies, you got to tell me this time, you guys. And for everyone else, like, subscribe, do the usual things. I guess go check out Randy's channel, Randy Kirk. I'll put a link in the description, I guess. And yeah, Randy, awesome hanging out with you. A pleasure, as sometimes, of course. And I look forward to chatting with you more, I don't know, probably next week.
It'll be great.
Yeah, so stay tuned, stay juicy. Can't wait to hear from the rest of you clever robots on the flippity flop.